So, welcome everyone. I'm Jurabek Sanokulov, and I'm here to, make your Ielts preparation much easier and a lot more fun. And I've mentioned this, quite several times in the channel that this course is going to be extremely detailed. So, buckle up because I'm going to start from the very, very beginning. So today in this video, I'm going to talk about the types of task one and how to identify each task and how to avoid the mistakes that many students make to this day. Even I made the same mistake when I took the exam for the first time, and I'm going to explain how you can avoid these mistakes in task one. All right. So, whenever I start teaching writing, whether it's online lessons or offline lessons, I ask this question: how many types of task one are there? And the usual answer by students is that they say there are around 7, 8 types of task one, which, makes sense because they mention things like bar chart, pie chart, line graph, table, and stuff, right? But this is rather, confusing way to categorize types of task one because knowing these types is not going to help you much. But instead, they're going to confuse you, I guess, because bar charts are different. I mean, there are different types of bar charts, there are different types of pie charts, and there are different types of tables and stuff, right? So if you don't know how to identify, how to differentiate each type of, let's just say, bar chart or each type of pie chart, knowing that there's going to be a pie chart or bar chart or table or line graph in your exam is practically useless. So now I'm going to explain the easiest and the most correct way of dividing task one types into different categories. So we say we have chain charts, we have comparatives, we have maps and processes, and we have mixed types, right? So these are the only types of task one. And it's not much, yeah, because identifying maps and processes is quite easy, right? So today in this video, I'm going to explain how to identify the other types. And we're also going to talk about maps and processes. So let's get to it. But before we get to the main point, I need to address this. Some of you might be confusing. Some of you might be confused why we don't say bar charts, pie charts, and line graphs and tables, right? So we don't say that because these are not the types. These are just pictures and these are just ways in which information is presented to you, right? So basically, we're not going to learn how to describe bar charts because we don't have specific language, let's just say words and phrases and sentences that are suitable, that are only suitable for bar charts. And we're not going to, learn the other types as well. So instead, we're going to learn chain charts. We're going to learn comparatives. We're going to learn maps, processes, and we're going to learn mixed types. Okay. So, doing this is actually a, game changer because when you know these, you feel much more secure. Yeah. And I'm going to explain what I mean by this in the next page. So firstly, let's talk about chain charts. So chain charts are also known as change over time graphs, and people call it, different names. Sometimes I've heard people saying that these are kind of dynamic graphs, dynamic charts, but the easiest way to remember them is to say chain charts. And how do you know whether a chart is a chain chart? So here's how you know. These charts or graphs involve data given in several different years. So I repeat, if you see several different years, it doesn't matter if it's a pie chart, if it's a line graph, if it's a what else? Bar chart. Yeah, if it's a table, doesn't really matter. If you see several different years, then it's a chain chart. So let's look at the examples. So now, if you look at here, you're going to see what the chart gives information about the percentage of overweight men and women in Australia from 1980 to 2010. So we have a period of time. Yeah, you see several different years. Yeah, starting from 1980 up to 2010. So that's a change over time graph. So you see, like it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense to say that this is a change over time graph because the data, the figures change all the time. For example, let's look at males and then we will look at females, right? So it was what 45% in 1980, and then it rose, and then it again rose, and then it declined slightly, right? So this is a change, right? This is a change. And the same thing is happening with women. Yeah, it rose, the figure again rose, but then it leveled off. Yeah, it didn't change. It remained stable. So the data, the figures are changing. That's why we call them change charts. Do you understand? But this is basically a bar chart, right? But like I said at the beginning, bar charts are different. So this is one of the bar charts, one of the types of bar charts, which is a chain chart. You don't even have to pay attention if it's a bar chart, table, pie chart. Yeah, all you need to pay attention to is what type it is. Yeah, whether it's a chain chart or a comparative. So this is a chain chart because um the information given is changing over time, changing through years. So that's why we call them chain charts. Now let's look at this one. The number of international conferences in 3 cities. Again, if you pay attention, you're going to see the same thing. Yeah, there are several different years, but it's a line graph. But let me tell you something. Yeah, this line graph and the previous bar chart are described in the same way. You can use the same words, you can use the same sentence structures, you can use the same approach to your overview. Everything is the same. Yeah, because they belong to the same type, which is change over time graphs or chain charts. I mean, do you guys getting it, right? So of course I cannot, interact you through this pre-recorded video, but um, after the lesson, after I send this to you guys, we can just discuss it together. Okay. If you have any other questions, then we can talk. Okay. So now let's move on. Now, let's look at this. This one is a pie chart. Yeah. Basically, 3 pie charts. But again, if you pay attention, you will see what? You will see, 3 different years. It means that this is also a change over time graph or change chart. And again, I'm going to, tell you the same thing. This pie chart, these pie charts, and the line graph and the bar chart are described in the same way. Again, I repeat, you're going to use the same sentence structures. You're going to write the overview in the same way. You're going to divide the information in the same way. You're going to use the same words. You're going to use the same phrases because they belong to the same category of task one. So they are called change over time graphs. So let's move on again. Now we have a table, but it's not just a table. It is what? It's a change over time table, let's just say. Yeah, because you see, again, we have 3 different types of years and 3 different years. Let's just say, yeah. Again, the information is changing over time. Yeah, like look at Argentina, yeah, increase and then again increase. Look at Australia, decrease and then again decrease. You look at Thailand, right? So it increased and then decreased. So you see, I'm using the same words that I used to describe the pie chart and the line graph and what was it? Bar chart. And I'm using the same language to describe this table as well. So you see, these are called change over time graphs. And how you identify them is that you look at the table, and if you see several different years, then you have it. Then it's a change over time graph. So now I'm going to explain the difference between change over time graphs and other types of task one. So the second type is called comparative graphs, or you can simply say they are non-change graphs, non-change graphs. So now this is how you will identify if the chart or the picture given is a comparative graph or other type. So these graphs usually include just 1 year or no year at all. So do you understand? If you look at the graph, look at the picture, and see one year or just no year at all, then you know that this is a comparative or non-change graph. So let's look at some of the examples. So if you pay attention, this is a bar chart again. But like I said at the beginning, bar charts are different. Now, the first type was what? Change over time bar chart. But this one, if you pay attention, there's only 1 year. It means that it's not a change over time graph. It's the other type, which is comparative. Yeah. But now, I mean, this means that now you cannot use words like increase, decrease, right? You need to use another language to describe comparative graphs. So now let's move on. I'm going to show you other pictures. So now look at this one. This is, oh, just a second. This is a table, but it's not just a table. It's a comparative table because when you look at the graph, you're just going to see a bunch of categories and a bunch of other categories. You don't see different years. You don't see any year. It means that it's a comparative graph. So here again, you cannot use words like increase, decrease, or remain stable because there's nothing, there's no change. Yeah. For you to decide that something changed, there must be at least 2 years, right? So there's no year. It means that it's a non-change graph, but it's a table. Now, if you remember the previous table, let me just show you. If you remember the previous table, you see 3 years. Yeah, it means that it's a change over time graph. But this table is a comparative graph because there's no year involved in this chart. Do you guys, getting it? Are you guys getting it? Now, let's move on. Now look at this one. This is a pie chart, but it's not just a pie chart again. It's a comparative pie chart because there's just 1 year involved in the chart. So again, yeah, you cannot use words like increase, decrease, but this time you need to use a different language, which we're going to cover in the next videos. Okay, so now let's move on again. I'm going to show you other pictures, yeah. So another third type probably of task one is maps. And I guess maps are one of the easiest question types to identify, not to write. Um, so usually there will be two maps, or in some extreme cases, there will be just one map or three maps. But it's just very, very extreme. I cannot remember the last time when when students had one or three maps. I cannot remember that. Yeah. Usually, students are given two maps. So let's look at some of the examples. And so here, Hunterstone Town, yeah, at present and proposed plan for it. Yeah. So this is the first map and this is the second map. And of course, we're going to cover every single thing that you must know, you should know when it comes to describing maps in the next videos. So here's another example for maps. This is the, office building and the proposed plan for the office building. So I'm not going to talk a lot about these because they are quite, easy to identify. So now the next type on the menu is processes. So processes will show how something is manufactured, how something is produced, or sometimes how something works. And again, in some extreme cases, you may get a life cycle of a particular animal, but again, these are quite rare. Now, processes themselves are quite rare, and the natural processes are even rarer. So again, you will see in processes, you will see a series of pictures, one leading to another, showing how something is manufactured. Here you can see in the picture the process of manufacturing ceramic pots is given, and there are like, I don't know, around 11, 12 steps. And of course, we're going to cover these in the next videos. So here's another process. So this process shows how bricks are manufactured. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps, 7 or 8 steps involved in manufacturing bricks. So finally, we have mixed charts. Um, there will be a combination of two graphs. The graphs can be any type. So basically, you're going to get two charts now. And those two charts can be different charts as well. Yeah. For example, one of them can be a chain chart and another can be a chain chart as well. And in the second type, you're going to get a chain chart plus a comparative graph. And of course, the final one would be comparative graph plus comparative graph. So let's see examples for each of these types. The first type is chain chart plus chain chart. So basically, you will be given two chain charts. So this one, for example, it's a chain chart because you see several different years. Yeah, it means that it's a chain chart. So percentage of households with electrical appliances. This is the first chart. And the second chart as well is a chain chart here. The number of hours of housework per week per household. So it's a chain chart because you see again several different years, right? So we have two charts, both of which are chain charts. So it's a mixed chart. So let's just say mixed chain chart. Yeah. So the second type is, two comparative charts. So for example, look at this one. The first picture here shows the population using the internet in 2000. It means that it's a comparative graph. And the second pie chart shows the average spending on shopping on the internet per person. Again, in 2000, in 2000. So it means that it's a comparative mixed chart. And the final one is you will be given comparative plus chain chart. And I believe this specific type is quite rare. So here, you're going to see two charts, one of which is a line graph, change over time graph, yeah, because the information changes, yeah, January, February, March, April, May, yeah, so the, information changes. And the second one is just a small table. You don't see any years or, periods of time in this table. It means that it's a comparative chart, comparative table. So these are the types of task one, and this is the main, this was the main focus of today's video. So let's, recap everything that we have covered so far. So task one types. Whenever someone asks how many task one types there are, you don't say there are pie chart, bar charts, line graph, whatever. And we say chain charts, comparatives, maps, processes, and mixed. So we have only 5 types, not 7, not 8, not 10, only 5. And how you identify them is this. So shortly put, if you see several different years, it means that it's a change over time graph. If you don't see any year or just 1 year, it means that it's a comparative graph. So, I mean, if you see 2 maps, then it's maps. And if you see these pictures or similar pictures, it means that it's a process. But if you have 2 charts in one picture, then it's a change chart. I mean, then it's a mixed chart. So this is how things work around here. So I'm going to send you a lot of pictures, and you're going to practice how to identify, how to differentiate each type from other types. Okay, so if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me and leave your questions, and I will try to do my best to answer your questions in a timely manner. So thank you for your attention. See you in the next videos.